Oh, wait, no. Hello, good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Adnan Pasha from LPA Properties, and I'm glad to have the flamboyant Mr. Lakhi Singh, the property fixer himself. And he's got another kind of turban on there. Lucky, what's the story behind your turban?
Actually, when I went to the Pind in India many years ago, I think it must have been about 20 years ago now, I just loved the sort of fresh look, fresh out of bed, and going to the farm and doing all the work on the farm, and everybody that's actually working in the farmyard were
Yeah.
wearing these turbans. Um, I've sort of styled it out a tiny bit by making it look a bit more African, but they literally just wrap it around really quickly and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just head to do their chores.
Yeah, that's
But I really got into you can sort of say the farming aspect of Punjab. But I wear it around the house actually just to give me that comfort factor, give me a bit of nostalgia about being in.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, we're just to give you obviously people a quick introduction to who I am and what we are all about. LPA Properties are obviously part of obviously Lucky's company, and we are selling properties UK wide. So those vendors or sellers, if you want us to sell your property, please put it up on us group chat, and Lucky will come back to or give us your leads. And we've got a team of about 10, 20 people behind us working really hard to make sure we sell your assets. Um, but Lucky, what are your thoughts based upon what's going on in America right now with this whole Joe Biden and Donald
Go on,
Trump?
we've got a couple of viewers now saying hello because we're on. We're on 9 platforms now. We're on YouTube. We're on the London group, Alternative Property Business Solutions Community, with my Lakhi Singhs, my personal profile, as well as being on the Alternative Property Business Solutions Community. So, hi everybody. We've got good
Hello.
morning, guys, from Bob Singh, and he's sending lots of messages. There's another good morning from another person here sending kisses as well. That's nice.
Oh,
2 kisses, one for you, one for me. I think. Wow, getting a lot of response. But I'll let you carry on. Sorry to interrupt.
no, that's okay, mate. So basically, I just want your thoughts on what's going on in America. I mean, there's a terminology that you used earlier on. If America sneezes, we in the UK get a bloody nose. So how is that going to affect us right now?
Well, the actual correct terminology that a lot of newscasters tend to use sometimes, or certain politicians, they say when America um, sneezes, the world normally catches a cold.
Yeah,
So I think I've extended that out a bit further to say that um, when America sneezes, in this case, um, United Kingdom will actually get a nosebleed. The reason I say that is that the whole global economy is volatile now because of COVID-19. And I think we are in very turbulent times where there's probably a lot of uncertainty. And a lot of people are feeling the pinch in terms of the lockdown, in terms of a double dip recession, in terms of being furloughed, in terms of 4 or 5 things. And I think what a lot of people forget is that a normal human
Mhm.
in reality can only deal with one change at a time. That's
Yeah,
just one at a time. And if you put somebody under stress, for example, typical scenario where you get stress is when you're getting married uh, or you're moving house. Those are the two sort of, let's say, fairly stressful bits of our lives. Yeah. But can you imagine? You've got 4 things to deal with. You've got a double dip recession. You've got a pandemic. You've got lockdown,
Mhm.
and then you've also got issues in terms of employment and being furloughed,
Yeah,
or your business actually potentially going under. So these are unprecedented times, actually, and I don't think we should probably underestimate really what could be around the corner.
Okay, well, let's touch upon this double dip recession that you just spoke about.
Interrupt you again. I've got at least 5 different people saying good morning. Somebody's put lots of claps like that with lots of ticks. Good morning, good morning. And another one from Wales. I think that's Carolyn, because I can't see all the users. We're just trying to I'm actually not so good on using the platform, unfortunately. So, but hello to everybody out there. And if we missed you out, we apologize. But we're sending you lots of love from sunny London and sunny Dudlish. Do you speak Dudlish? All right.
Unfortunately, no. I'm still, I don't know what kind of accents I've got. Some people I've got a bit of Manchester, some people I've got London, Birmingham. It's all mixed in right now.
Okay, well,
but
we can
put it in this now. But yeah, talking about the double dip recession, how is that going to affect many of the potential buyers in the UK market from your standpoint? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think one of the things that are being discussed in a lot of forums now and a lot of groups is that there is a sort of market change, and it's inevitable that after lockdown, second lockdown, you're going to have some sort of a fall in market prices. You're going to have a problem with the economy because the government can't necessarily sustain the level of cash input they're giving to the economy. So what's likely to happen is that you may actually be able to pick up lots of bargains.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, where there's a yin, there's a yang, and there's also a paching. And the paching is that if you've got the cash, then it's paching ching. Yeah. So if you're cash rich, and you're looking for investment, then this is actually the perfect time. But if you're not cash rich, you might find that this is probably going to be a bit of a tough time because, I mean, there was a stat that came out this week where 50% of the properties that are being surveyed by lenders are actually being reduced, having a reduction in the survey price. So that's just one stat. The other really worrying stat is, because we do a lot of bridging finance and first charge and second charge and business loans, personal loans, we sort of help people with those things. What's happening is that the lenders are lending at a very low loan to value now. So before it might have been 85%, 75% 4 or 5 years ago. And if you're an experienced portfolio owner, maybe up to 80, 85%. On a lot of bridging cases, we're getting lenders are quite worried about being able to get their money out, because if the market falls in 6 months, a year from now on a bridge, they may. Sorry?
What's the typical rate right now?
So they're typically lending up to about half, 50% or up to about 60%. Although a lot of them are saying they'll lend up to 75%. But I think they're being a lot more conservative about where they'll lend now as well. They're more likely to lend up to 65 or 75% in London. But outside London, I think they may not go up to as much as that. They may just go up to 65 or 60. But I think by the time you do the survey and do everything else, it comes out to be a lot lower.
So what you're trying to say is that it's more difficult to purchase a property via finance now, and if you're a cash buyer, it's more relatively easier.
Well, if you're a cash buyer, it's definitely easier. But if you're trying to raise finance, then the speed of finance is quite slow. Surveyors are valuing down. The loan to values are lower. The criteria for lending is tighter. So if you are looking to buy, you're not quite sure, you're looking to pick up some more investment properties, this is you have to be just quite careful not to make any assumptions about how you may have worked a year ago, because none of what was happening before is quite the same way. Because if you just look at the bridging market alone, 50% of the bridging lenders have now pulled out of the market.
Have they? Wow, okay. So in many respects, then, is it really difficult for, let's say, overseas investors to obtain finance in this current market?
Well, I think a lot of overseas buyers tend to be mostly cash buyers anyway. So for them, it should be easier because they usually have deeper pockets, and it's not as easy for them to get localized lending quite in the same way as somebody who's based here. So they're usually in a slightly better position to actually purchase because of their ability to raise the funds from abroad.
Okay. Now, touching on from last week as well, we discussed about the ideal locations. Now that we're in this situation right now with the lockdown and the recession, are you still adamant that, say, London will be the best bet to invest in right now as a safe bet compared to outside of London? Or
well, this is a question that I addressed in some of the drive time shows we had this week.
Yes.
So one of the points I'm raising to people is that there isn't the perfect place or the perfect time to purchase. So the way to look at it is that you've got bounce backs going on across the whole country. You've got furloughing, you've got Sybil's, you've got lockdown in certain places you haven't. Certain parts of Wales went into lockdown before, and some will come out of lockdown earlier. So there's lots of variables that you need to be aware of. But if you take into account 3 or 4 very simple variables, is that if a company closes down or a business closes down, there's going to be unemployment. And the people that are affected, the directors or the staff, they will need to be deployed or need to re-employ themselves. And if they need to sell their properties quickly, or they need to find a new opportunity and they've got cash funds, what will happen is that those sort of things will create lots of opportunities for people with the ability to purchase. So those opportunities for people that have got the cash to invest could also be a lifeline for those that want to exit. So it's not all doom and gloom, because if somebody wants to get out so that they've got enough to be able to look after their families or do whatever they need to do, then it's also an opportunity for them to sell their asset and actually get the liquidity that they may not have because of unemployment, because of the recession, because of the inability to find a new position in time. So they want to develop enough of a buffer. So if they've got a £500,000 property and that property, they've been made unemployed and they need money to sustain themselves, and all the money is trapped in their property. Let's just say their property is worth £500,000 and the debt is only 100,000. They can either finance out, but they may prefer to capitalize on the equity sitting in their property now while the market's still fairly buoyant because of the stamp duty rate cut. So they could sell that money for £500,000. And if they want to sell it quickly before it gets too close to Christmas, when it'd be difficult to get hold of solicitors and surveyors, and even now it's difficult to get hold of surveyors due to lockdown, although the estate agency business actually is fully open, by the way. So as you know, because you're working in the company. So what would happen is that getting a property now, if you're buying, that person that's got £500,000 property may be willing to let it go for 450 just to get that 350k in to give them that sustainability for their livelihood. So they may have a young family, they may not be able to afford their mortgage. So somebody buying, it doesn't mean that you're going to be predatory or trying to call it be difficult for people. You will be creating a win-win for them. So if you are looking to buy, we've actually got a structure now in the organization where you can come on our books and put a deposit down, and we'll start sourcing properties for you. Perhaps you'd probably want to give a bit more of an update of really how that works for the viewers. So anybody does want to buy, you've got apparently a sourcing system that been set up by our sales team, allowing people to get on the ladder.
Well, it's still in process, Lucky, but we've had a lot of discussions with the other directors as well within the company. But yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, it's going to be based on all the investment properties that we do have. If there's something that catches your fancy on our list, which we're more than happy to provide to you, all the potential buyers out there, then yeah, we do request a reservation fee to hold that property for yourself. Once you've actually seen the videos and the viewings taking place, then yeah, we can get the deal sorted out for yourself. That's the short version of the whole system, Lucky, right now. But in more detail, I'll get that over to you, obviously, on the groups, so a lot of the people know how it works. But you just mentioned about this example regarding a potential sort of sale process. What if that person wants to get a refinance done for £50,000? Is that going to be difficult in this current climate?
So everything comes down to the numbers, but it's a very good question. So there's a couple of variances to that question. So if you're looking to finance out to try and redevelop your property or for a particular personal reasons, it's not so easy because it's regulated lending, and it can take probably in this market maybe 4 to 8 weeks to pull out 50,000. But everything comes down to the numbers. So there are second charge lenders that are out there, but you could refinance out if you got income. But obviously, if you lost your job, to try and refinance is going to be quite difficult.
Yeah.
So there's a few lenders out there which are regulated lenders that would lend you on a second charge basis, up to 50 to maybe 70% of the value of the property. But in this market, if a property is worth, let's say 500 as an example by a local agent, if a bridging company or a regulated lender lends you that money, they'll probably end up valuing the property at about 450 or 425, because they're very concerned about values a year from now. So they'll probably value it down. But if you're looking to raise 50, then the debt's 100. That's more than enough equity in there to be able to get 50. And you could actually get it for quite a cheap rate if you go down the regulated route of a refinance. But if you wanted to take the money out to put it into a business or into a limited company, then you can use an unregulated route, which could be quicker through some of the things that we do. So if you set up a company, or you have a company already and you're looking for investment for your business to grow it, or just to give it working capital, then what you could do is you could actually refinance out your house for the 50 or up to 75%. So 100K debt minus 75%, I think works out to 350. Is that right? 75% is about 350, isn't it? On 500.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Yeah. So let's say in this market, you wouldn't get 350 minus the 100 because they probably value your property down to 450 or 425. So you've got to measure up all the odds really. But if it's London, it's more likely that you're going to get closer to the market value. So they may value at 450 or 475. So you just have to be conscious of the variables really in this market when you're looking to finance out. But technically, it should be quite easy to raise 50K either on a regulated loan because you're trying to get money for yourself personally. But if it's for a business, it can be done quickly. We could probably get the money in at the quickest in about 3 days, but that would be very expensive. But if we wanted to get money in about 10 days or 15 days, we could probably get it at a fairly reasonable rate for you. Yeah.
What is regulated, unregulated finance? That's something a lot of our viewers may not know what that means. What does that?
So regulated finance, it means is anything that somebody's living in. So if it's your residential house, your home,
Yeah.
and you live in it, it's not something that you're renting, then you're the owner of the house. Then anything that you do with the house is called regulated lending. So a lot of the lenders like HSBC, Santander, Halifax, Nationwide, these sort of companies do a lot of regulated lending.
Right.
And they're regulated lenders. A lot of the high street ones tend to do regulated lending. And unregulated lending is companies that don't fall within regulations, and they are mostly commercial loans for business purposes. So Buytolet, for example, would be considered technically a commercial loan, although there are a lot of gray areas with that. But if you bought an office block, or or if you took a second charge in your house to put it into investment, then that would be considered a unregulated loan. So it is a bit technical, but if you're not sure, I'm happy to just DM me and I'll answer the questions if you're in the audience, if you're not quite clear what we're saying, because there's quite a lot to cover in 25 to 30 minutes. And I think we're already about 21 minutes in.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. The other question I've got for you right now, this lockdown, well, the second lockdown we're in now, do you think it has more of an impact compared to the first time around we were in lockdown? Or are we better prepared now and we understand how or what the procedures are in place? I mean, especially if I think for businesses, I think I'm more concerned about. I mean, a lot of the businesses in the leisure industry, again, they've closed down again. So what effects is this second lockdown happening on businesses and other individuals?
Well, I think it's a very good question. I mean, what's happening is a lot of businesses, let's say, survived the last lockdown by hook or by crook, especially in the hospitality industry. So they may have borrowed some money, they may have got some government money. This time round, this is a second lockdown, and if already they've been hit badly, there's two things. One is that if they've diversified and found a way of maybe doing more takeaways and closed the restaurant, and that's making them good money, but still enough to pay all the bills. The takeaway and delivery business is doing really well. It's actually flying.
Yeah, it is.
But on the other hand, there's a but. If the business hasn't got a way of offering something that's different and making new income, and they're stuck in what they do because that's what they're known for, and they've got very little maneuverability. Unfortunately, a lot of those businesses actually have to close down.
Yeah.
So, because the hospitality industry thrives upon traffic, and it's got to be physical traffic, and if there's no physical traffic, as simple as nobody can really come to your hotel, because a lot of people go to hotels to eat and go to the coffee bars. They don't always just go to stay there overnight, so they're losing possibly 50 to 75% of their revenue from the restaurant and the bar area of the hotels, especially the very posh ones in town. So I think it's quite tough times for a lot of businesses, especially in hospitality. Restaurants, hotels, gyms. So my heart sort of goes out to them, really, to be honest. And it's going to be quite tough times. So question is going to be, what is the government going to be able to do to help them? Very little. So the COVID-19 itself is a pandemic that can't be controlled easily. I mean, there are a lot of things that other countries have done in Germany and otherwise in New Zealand, which we can learn from. So one would argue that had somebody like the government done something to do a lot more testing, of people that did have it, and looked at maybe a more strict regime for people that have got it, that we wouldn't really be in the situation of going into a second lockdown. So that's quite a technical area, way outside my sphere of knowledge, really, about what the government policy is. But the repercussions for the common person are terrible, really. I think my sort of makes me feel quite sad thinking about all the people that are going to be suffering because of it.
Well, I mean, just to give you a sort of a heads up as well, I mean, like Liverpool are the first sort of city in the UK that are having mass testing done. So every man and his dog is going to get tested for COVID-19. Those who are going to be apparently positive, they'll have to go and see under a 10-day sort of lockdown with themselves. The rest can continue living their lives, apparently. Well, that's what I've heard in the grapevine, because obviously I support Liverpool. But yeah, so that's the stories coming out from Liverpool. Now, if that kind of tests work out in Liverpool, surely they'll be doing mass testing within other cities.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, I'm working with a couple of organizations which can do a test, and they can actually give you an answer in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is a company I'm working with. So, I think there are a lot of solutions out there. The question is that I've worked in government before for lots of different government departments, but there's a lot of red tape in government, and there's a lot of bureaucracy, and it takes a lot of energy, emotional energy, physical energy, resources, time, money, effort to deploy all those resources to be effective in something like this. And if you're not quite sort of on it, you don't know how to hustle in the government, then you're really going to struggle to try and make decisions and actually get things to work the way you want them to work to be able to eradicate this pandemic.
Okay, perfect. Well, look, so from the sounds of things, it's not all doom and gloom. And if there is any doom and gloom, then there's obviously one man that can fix it for you guys, and that's Lakhi Singh, the fixer himself. So when it comes to
I think the other, sorry to interrupt, the other thing is that a lot of people will be going through a lot of hardship now, and they may not know where to turn. I can safely say that I had similar issues about 15 years ago, and I was left in quite a difficult position. And having seen it and faced it myself directly, what I'm doing is with the Alternative Business Solutions community is giving access to all my contacts, my whole database, to solve these sort of problems. So literally we can do the bridging. Literally, we can actually write off negative equity debt. Literally, we can stop repossession. Literally, we can sell your house for a 0% commission. So the solutions we've got to help people out there as things are worsening are things that we realize that may happen again. About 12, 15 years ago, we've been fighting the battle at the day-to-day level and understanding the mechanics to be able to help the millions that are out there to bring United Kingdom back, take it back on its feet. Yeah. So I'm pretty confident that anybody who's got any issues, we will have there's a solution for everything, really. So just have a question of engagement and making people aware that Lakhi Singh and his team. I wouldn't say it's so much Lakhi Singh. I would say my team are here to give you the love, support, encouragement, and the let's just say the technicalities to be able to help you through any issue, really.
No, brilliant, Lakhi. Listen, at the end of the day, if you're fighting this battle, we're all with you, mate. So we're there behind you, and we'll all fight as one whole UK and come out of this depressing times. Let's put it that way. So thank you very much for your time, Lakhi, as well with this today. Tomorrow, stay tuned, guys, for another session with myself, Adnan Pasha from LPA Properties, and Mr. Fix-It, Lakhi Singh himself. Any problems, any issues, please put on the groups and obviously we'll address those issues for you on the live
I think
chat.
you've got to be careful when you say Mr. Fix It. That sounds like somebody else.
Yeah, I know, but okay, Lakhi Singh to fix.
Don't worry, I'll let you off. Okay.
Take care, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye.